Hi everybody, it's time for Lunchtime Live. Today we're going to talk about the little but fierce American Falcon. So I'll wait until I see some people tuned in. We're here at the Visitor Center, and where I would really like to be is down on the South McCoy Trail by the fence along the Navy base, because I often see kestrels there, but we wouldn't have any reception down there and it might be really noisy. So I'm here in the amphitheater. Hi Tracy, hi Jenny. Because we did have a kestrel that was sort of perching on these poles where the awnings are, and I thought we might get lucky. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about the American kestrel. And the American kestrel, the scientific name is Falco sparvarius. It's also known as a sparrow hawk, although it is not really a hawk, it's a falcon. It's the smallest falcon and probably the most colorful, and it's also the most common in North America. So you would see them really, it seems like everywhere. The desert, the suburbs, the city, farms, here. They like wide open spaces with low vegetation and, you know, not too many trees. So that's sort of their habitat, and we have a lot of them here. Again, a nice place to see them is on the South McCoy Trail, on the fencing, or on the telephone wires on that little path down there. Anyway, let's see what they look like. Hi, Karina. This is a male, okay? And this is a female. So you can see that they look a little different. Okay? That is called sexual dimorphic plumage, when the male and the female look different. So first let's start with their face. See those little black slashes? Those are called malar stripes or malar stripes. They're the black slashes on their face, and that is the easiest way to tell you are looking at an American kestrel. Now they also have these little spots here. Those are false eyes, and they are called ocelli or ocelli. They're little black spots on the nape, the back nape of their neck. Hi, Robert. So they have small heads, and they have really long wings and long tails, and they're a small falcon. The males are about the size of a blue jay, and the females are they're bigger, so they're about the size of a mourning dove. And again, they have this sexual dimorphic color pattern. They look different. So this is the male, and you can see those slate blue-gray wings and the reddish back, very reddish, and they just have this black bar at the end. The females, and this isn't a great picture, but so the females are more reddish all over. They have this sort of gray on their crown, the orange on top. But the main way you'll know a female is their wings have bars, their tails have bars, whereas the male just has this one bar. The females would have stripes all the way up, and more brownish, not these slate blue wings. And you can tell it's a bird of prey by that sharp beak. Here's an up close. You can kind of see how pretty they are. Ah, there you go. So I was surprised to learn that they eat, I mean, some things that you read will say it's mostly, you know, small things like mice and voles, but I was surprised to learn that most of the things I read said that they were just really big insect eaters. So they like the large insects, you know, stuff like grasshoppers and dragonflies and beetles, and surprisingly, they'll eat worms like robins. And here's a weird one, they eat bats. And they mostly will hunt by day. They're considered diurnal hunters, but they also hunt at night because they have the ability to see ultraviolet light, and they can actually see the urine trail of rodents. And so I'm sure those little mice and voles think they're, you know, pretty safe, but they're not because they're being tracked. So they will also eat some small snakes, lizards, frogs, and small birds, hence the name sparrowhawk. So they eat a lot of different things, but again, I was surprised how many insects they eat. So they hunt by day. You're often going to just see them perched on a fence or you know, like a phone pole or wire. And sometimes you'll just see them sitting there all day, perching. And they tend to bob their tail quite a bit. You will also see them hovering when they think that they have found some prey. That hovering technique is called kiting. So they fly into the wind, and that allows them to just sort of hover in place. They can also fly 39 miles an hour, which is pretty darn fast. Hi, Tim. So they seize their prey with 1 foot or 2 feet, and they will eat it right there on the ground, or maybe take it back to their perch, or stash it. They've been known to stash up to like 20 small rodents, and then they just come back and eat it. This allows them, like when they're nesting, to make sure that their babies don't go hungry. But they are food hoarders, stashers. So let's talk a little bit about their courting. The female will fly sort of stiffly and hold her wings a little lower than horizontal, and just sort of a fluttery flap. The males, they will fly straight up, call out, and then dive down, and do it repeatedly. Then comes the exchange of food, and the males will catch things and feed the female. They are monogamous and will stay together for years. And they breed in the springtime, early spring to late summer. And the way that they nest, they don't actually use nesting material. So what they do is they use a crevice in a rock, or a tree hollow, or a nook in a building. And I guess they're pretty famous for using crow nests. And another weird thing about them is that, you know, they're such pretty birds, right? You wouldn't think that their nests were so messy. and they'll reuse them year after year. And they're like full of fledgling feathers and poop and you know, leftover food. And some people think that it's because when the babies are small, they can immediately start learning to hunt, because a messy nest attracts, you know, flies and insects and whatever. That's true of owls too. So maybe they can just start hunting really young. But one of the interesting things that kestrels do is they hunt as a family. So when the babies are little, the male will bring food to the female and the babies. And he does a flutter flight just outside the nest, and then the female will come outside, also do the flutter flight, get the food, feed the babies. And then as they're older, they start to hunt as a family. And they will, the babies are voracious eaters. They have been known to eat like 2 or 3 mice a day, and they eat 2 times as much as their parents. So they're like having teenagers in the nest. I didn't tell you about the eggs. So their eggs are kind of a light brown, and they have kind of a purpley mottling on them. And they will have 4 to 5 eggs, and they'll brood, you know, 1 or 2 times, depending. And so these babies, if you ever see like a group of kestrels, that's not normal for adults. Adults are usually by themselves or with their mate. But if you see a group of them, it's often juveniles hanging out with other fledglings. So anyway, the parents will feed the babies after they fledge for about 2 weeks. And it's strange, but I don't know, I think of them as these great hunters, but that's one of the things that they die from the most is starvation. And their lifespan is about 12 years in the wild and about 17 in captivity. And they, throughout history, have been part of the falconry hobby, usually for beginners, and then they graduate to the larger birds. They will also nest in boxes. So if you wanted to have, like, just say you had a mouse problem at your horse barn or something, not only can you get wild cats, but you could get kestrels. You could get a kestrel box. So that's about all I know about kestrels. Again, here's the male. You'll know because he's got these blue-gray wings and this black stripe, and if it were a female, there'd be a lot. But the main thing, you'll know it's a kestrel by these. And the best place to see them is the South McCoy Trail, I think, and along that path. So, all right, everybody. Hi, Nancy. Does anybody have any questions about kestrels? I don't really see anything coming up, but we will see them in the comments. And be sure to be here the next couple of weeks. I am going to try to talk about the mirabilis, which is a beautiful flower that's blooming here right now. But even more exciting, we have a bush tit nest here, and I'm going to actually try to get something live on this camera. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. Thanks again for tuning in.